we have lobbyists that are not for the interest of the people, but they're for the interest of their special interests. Whereas the citizen lobbyists, they have a platform that fits the interest of just being a person. You know, everybody watching, no matter where they fall into, would probably want to, join this just because they can keep an eye on what's going on and they can support something that's going to benefit them in the long run. So what's the platform?
Well, to go back to the lobbyist thing is you have the lobbyists that they might work for a specific company, and they are going to do what they need to do to get that company what the company wants. Or special interest group like unions or whatnot, they're going to hire lobbyists to get what they specifically want. As Oregon Citizens Lobby, we have a specific platform based on the free market. Does it give the individual people personal choice? Does it give local control to the area? And does it have limited government? And does it apply to the free market? And what's funny is we have several analysts that they look at the bills, and we have to grade the bill based on those 5 categories. And there's so many times where when you're grading those bills, you really have to take your personal feelings and set those aside and go just right here off the grading. And to do that sometimes is very difficult. Some of the gun bills that come across, you get very emotional, not emotional, but it's just, reaction where it's like, why would there be any bill to limit anything that any average American citizen should have? That's their freedom.
Yeah, well, it's silly when they raise their hand and they promise to support the Constitution of the United States, and then it's like, but we're going to get rid of the second one,
Right. And so then you come down, when you're grading these bills, and you're like, okay, well, it doesn't really do anything to the free market. It doesn't come out the way you want it to. And so sometimes you got to remove your emotions from it. And then when you look at the answer, or when you look at the question, does this give local control? Well, I don't know if I want to give my local government that kind of control to say how the Second Amendment applies. So I'm like, I think on that I'm good with the state and federal. So
yeah. So is there's dozens of bills or hundreds of bills or thousands of bills coming through that you guys have looked at this, what do you call it, session?
What is it? It's about everything started off around February 4th. And since that time, you'll start off with about 14,000 something bills. And then just by, just automatically it'll just come down to 8,000 because some of the representatives and senators, I don't know why, but they'll write a bill that they know is not going to go anywhere.
So these are bills that the legislative branch hasn't necessarily read. It's just the bills that they've submitted. Is that right?
Yeah, they're bills that they submitted, but they're stuff that they know is not going to go anywhere. Like, let's make Friday Fish and Chips Day. Like, no, why? I don't know why they do it. I mean, I guess there's probably a reason, but
is it to make their supporters happy that might have a fish and chip business or something?
Maybe they're from an area that has a lot of New Englanders. I don't know.
Just so there's just an example.
Yeah.
Of special interest. Yeah, you're right. Why would they do that? They're probably trying to help somebody that supports them,
right.
And it affects the entire, state.
Yeah. Like Senator Boquist, our senator here in this area, he did one just to kind of make fun of all the anti-gun bills that were coming out, and he put out one to do anti-knives. It was just something that. I think when some people saw it, they're like, what is this?
He was trying to make a point.
Right. It was just like, hey, knives kill people too. Knives do this, and knives, like, no, it's not the knife, it's the person. So, but it was him being funny about it, but it was one of those bills that it wasn't going to go anywhere, and so. He's still a great guy. Still has a good voting record, but
Yeah, he has a sense of humor, and
yeah, he does have
Yeah.
a sense of humor.
yeah.
And if you don't smile at him, he'll probably. I don't know if you know his history, but he was special forces with the military, so you gotta be careful around him.
I bet you he would have gone into Benghazi
Just by himself.
just by himself, probably.
Just by himself.
Yeah, because he's a hero.
Yeah, Senator Rambo.
Senator Rambo. We love you, Senator Bokus.
Yeah, Boquist.
Anyhow, okay, so out of these 8,000 bills, just summarize, because I know we can't go through all of them. We only have 15 minutes left.
Well, a lot of the bills that do go through, sometimes there's good bills and a lot of them are bad. And when we look at it in our standards of the five points for Oregon Citizens Lobby, a lot of those bills come out very negative because it either hurts individual freedom, which, I mean, that's one of our biggest things is this promotes individual freedom, or does it take away individual freedom? You know, what does this do to the citizen? You know, and I think having that as part of your evaluation on grading a bill, that right there is huge. Why would you want to take away rights of the people? Or why would you want to banish that is a natural right?
Yeah.
So
can you generalize a few bills that are fiscal bills, and then generalize a few bills that are social bills, and then we will talk about specifics after that.
Okay. For physical issues, one of them is the House. I can't remember the actual number of it, but one of the House bills is it basically wants to have RFID chips, radio frequency identification device, or something like that, and it would allow the individual school district or school board to decide if they want to have these RFID chips.
Are they talking about in the skin?
No.
Okay.
No, because
Gee, not yet.
Right.
They have to start slowly, don't they?
Right.
Yeah.
You know, I
Just a necklace. Or
it'd either be some kind of badge necklace or some kind of bracelet. They do this at other schools in the state or in the country, and I think what they want to do is, I'd like to see something that would say completely ban the idea in Oregon altogether, because again, that's not individual freedom. You know, if you're tracking people, you know.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I have no problem if they were to sit there and say, well, we're going to have these permanently on, sex offenders or something like that, or people that are of great concern to the community. Hey, that's fine, but my child is not a great concern to the community. He's going to go to class. There's no reason to have a little chip device on him. But this would leave it up to the schools. So it'd be giving it back to local control. So in that sense, and it's one of those bills that was like, we don't like it for the fiscal purposes, because physically, who's going to pay for it? Well, the taxpayers. Well, how much is this going to cost to, we got thousands of kids in our school district. Now you're talking about each one of those kids are going to have a bracelet or, wear some kind of badge. Well, what happens if they lose them? So, I don't know how much that would cost. Well, so that's bad. Local control, we're like, hey, that's fine. We like it being locally. So it kind of messes with our thing where, when we're grading it,
Yeah. It is a dilemma.
And again, I don't like the idea of tracking average citizens. And sometimes we forget to think about that our children are also citizens. They're also have their own.
Yeah.
No.
Well, let me plug in another reason why churches should have been involved in this whole political process all the time, as they were back when our country was a little bit more moral.
Right.
Because, these kind of things are warned about, scripturally. So
Yeah.
I just wanted to plug that in because I think that's where we had the best citizen lobbyists were the preachers.
Yeah.
And now we don't have
Well,
them
because
for the most part anymore.
Well, they're afraid.
They stood down.
Yeah, they're
Well,
afraid
yeah.
to lose their their tax exempt
Yeah.
status.
Well, back in the beginning, if they would have,
And if
you know,
you're-
fought for it a little bit.
Well, if you've been
fought to
watching
keep
recently on news,
current
they have a
public
reason to be
schools.
afraid because the IRS is hunting them.
Yeah, now the consequences are going to
Yeah.
come back on them because they stood down and now they're going to,
Right.
yeah,
So,
they're going to get their taxes probably taken away anyway,
Right.
eventually.
Every life is precious.